What country in Europe has the highest percentage of Muslims? The United Kingdom? The UK used to rule the biggest empire in history, over a quarter of the world. Many of these places had mostly Muslim populations. Today, that history is easy to see. Millions of people from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Somalia, and the Middle East have moved to the UK over the years and built communities in almost every major city. Yet Muslims are only about 7% of the UK population. So maybe Germany? For decades, it welcomed millions of Turkish workers. Today, Berlin is filled with kebab shops, Turkish markets, and Turkish is spoken on the street corners. But even without that, the Muslim population is just around 6%. So, what about France? It once ruled over large parts of North and West Africa, places like Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. That history brought millions of people to France over the years. Just look at the French national football team, which is filled with players whose families came from former colonies, many of them from Muslim countries. However, there are only about 10% of people in France who are Muslim. So, the answer to this question is Kosovo, a small country in southeastern Europe, bordered by Serbia, Albania, Montenegro, and North Macedonia, but over 90% of its people identify as Muslim, the highest percentage in all of Europe. And no, it is not because of immigration. So, how did this happen? And why Kosovo? This story begins over 600 years ago, in 1389. The Battle of Kosovo took place. The rising Ottoman Empire fought against Christian forces in the region. The Ottomans won, and over the next few decades they took control of Kosovo, bringing new laws, new cities, and new religion, Islam. The Ottomans ruled Kosovo for more than 500 years, but they didn't force everyone to become Muslim. Instead, Islam became part of daily life, and many people converted over time, for some reasons. Reason 1. Taxes. When the Ottoman Empire ruled Kosovo, non-Muslims males had to pay a special tax every year. It was called jizya. Muslims didn't have to pay it. For rich people, it wasn't a big problem, but for poor farmers and workers, this tax was hard. So many people became Muslims to avoid the tax. It made life easier and helped them save money. Reason 2. Jobs and opportunities. In the Ottoman Empire, most important jobs were held by Muslims. The army, the courts, the schools, even the local government, all run by Muslims. If someone wanted to join the army, work for the government, or study in the higher schools, being Muslims made it much easier, and sometimes it was the only way in. So for people in Kosovo, converting to Islam opened more doors. It gave them a better chance to get good jobs and move up in society. Reason 3. Sufi influence. There is another reason Islam became part of life in Kosovo, and it has to do with the Sufis. Sufis were peaceful spiritual teachers. They didn't try to convert people by force. They shared their faith through kindness, music, stories, and simple conversations. They built small gatherings places called tekas, where people came to pray, share meals, talk, and just spend time together. They helped the poor, they welcomed everyone, and slowly people began to feel that this version of Islam wasn't something strange or far away. It felt like something they could truly be part of. That's how many people in Kosovo became Muslim. This feeling of being together is even stronger in Ramadan, the month of fasting. From dawn to sunset, many Muslims in Kosovo don't eat, drink, or smoke. When the sun sets, they break the fast with iftar, the evening meal. Families sit around tables with soup, bread, meat, and sweets like baklava. In some towns, mosques and community groups also host free iftar dinners for anyone who wants to join. Even people who don't fast often still come for iftar. For them, Ramadan is less about strict rules and more about spending time with family, showing hospitality, and thinking about others. Ramadan ends with Bajram, one of the biggest holidays in Kosovo. The day starts with a special morning prayer at the mosque or on an open field. After that, people visit relatives, share big meals, and give children sweets or money. It feels both like a religious festival and a national holiday. At the same time, not everyone practices in the same way. Some Kosovars pray 5 times a day, others rarely or never. Some fast every Ramadan, others don't. Most people accept these differences. In Kosovo, Islam is often more about identity, family, and history than about testing how religious someone is. For many Kosovars, being Muslim is not only about pressure or politics. It shows up in holidays, family meals, Friday prayers, and a general sense of belonging. What does Islam look like in Kosovo today? Kosovo is a Muslim majority country. About 90% of people here say they are Muslim, but not in the way people might expect. One of the clearest religious moments each week is Friday prayer, or Jum'ah. Every Friday at midnight men gather at mosques to pray. In some areas there are so many people that they line up in courtsides, or on the silver. Some attend every week, others only on important days. For many, it's not only about belief, it's also about meeting people and keeping traditions. How Kosovo is different from other Muslim majority countries. When people hear that Kosovo is over 90% Muslim, many imagine something different. A country with Islamic law, religious leaders in charge, maybe strict rules on how people should live. But the reality is almost the opposite. Kosovo is a secular country, there is no state religion, no Islamic law, the government is separated from religion, religion isn't taught in public schools, and imams, Muslim religious leaders, don't hold any political power. This alone makes Kosovo very different from many other Muslim majority countries. In Saudi Arabia, Islamic law is the law of the land. Alcohol is banned, religious policies used to control public behavior. In Iran, religious leaders run the country. The supreme leader, not the president, holds the most power, and breaking religious rules can be punished by the state. Now compare that to Kosovo. There are mosques, but also cafes, bars, and music festivals. People pray if they want to, or they don't. There is no pressure, no dress code, no ban on alcohol. Women walk freely in modern clothes. Some wear the hijab, some don't. Both are accept. Even Ramadan is practiced in a relaxed way. Some people fast, some don't. What matters more is being with family, sharing meals, and keeping tradition alive. But Kosovo isn't the only place in Europe where many people are Muslim. Bosnia also has a large Muslim population. Around half of the people there are Muslim, mostly from the Bosniak ethnic group. Like Kosovo, Bosnia is a secular country, there is no official religion and religion isn't part of the government. But in everyday life, Islam is more visible. In many Bosnian towns and villages, mosques are full. Friday prayers are well attended, and Islamic holidays like Bajram are celebrated in public, with big family meals and community gatherings. Religious leaders often have an active role, and some public schools even offer Islamic classes. So, why is it different in Kosovo? The answer lies in history, especially during the time of communist Yugoslavia, led by Josip Broz Tito. After World War II, Tito built one-party state where religion was seen as something that could divide people. The government believed that keeping religion out of public life would create a unity, but the policy wasn't applied the same way everywhere. In Bosnia, religion was restricted but not completely silenced. People were still able to practice, quietly but without too much fear. In Kosovo, it was much stricter. Starting in the late 1940s, the government began closing mosques, banning religious schools, and discouraging public prayer. Imams had to register with the state, and being too religious could draw unwanted attention. Religious holidays were not publicly celebrated, and many families had to practice in private. But there was another layer to this. Most people in Kosovo are ethnic Albanians. Tito's government often viewed Albanian identity as potential threat, especially because Albanians had close cultural and historical ties to neighboring Albania and the wider Muslim world. This made officials even more suspicious of religion in Kosovo, so the pressure was stronger there than in places like Bosnia. And this shaped how Islam is lived today. In Bosnia, religion stayed part of public life, even if people weren't very religious. In Kosovo, faith becomes something personal, people believe it, but they keep it quiet. They celebrate holidays at home, pray in small groups, and pass on tradition privately. Even now, the difference is easy to see. Kosovo's Islam is quieter, more personal, and deeply shaped by a long period of religious control. We believe survived not in public displays, but in families' homes and quiet traditions. When most people hear the word Europe, they picture familiar things, old churches, Christmas lights, and countries with long Christian traditions. And when they hear about Islam in Europe, they often think of recent immigrants from the Middle East or North Africa. But Kosovo tells a different story. Here, Islam isn't new. It didn't arrive yesterday. It's been part of life for hundreds of years, growing quietly through families, customs, and local history. It's not something foreign or forced. It's just part of how life took shape in the part of the world. Kosovo shows a side of Europe that many people don't expect. A Europe that is more diverse, more complex, and more interesting than the usual picture. And beyond religion or history, Kosovo is simply a beautiful place. Green valleys, mountains, old stone mosques, and villages full of warmth and traditions. Yes, the past was difficult. People still remember war and struggle, but that's not the whole story. Today, Kosovo is full of life, color, music, and hospitality. It's a small country with a big heart and a deep story worth hearing.